Hey, Programming 12. Hey, just wanted to start a quick video to address a great comment I got on one of those videos, number 11, I believe, where we're adding the weapons. And there was a person who was talking about magic numbers in the code. And I wanted to address this because I think it's a really good point. And it's something that, we've been kind of focused on, coding fast and trying to get more features implemented, but I think our code is starting to suffer a little bit, and it's starting to get a little bit messy and disorganized, and we have things like magic numbers. So this video, we're going to talk about that and how we can address that problem. Just so you know what he's talking about, I believe this video is referring to a piece of code that we had. I think it is over here. Let's just zoom out. Maybe. There we go. Thanks. So it's a magic number is a number inside of your code that is just kind of coded there as a number, and it has no sort of indication of what it means. And at first, when you program it, you're probably confident about what that number means, but when you come back to your code, maybe the next day, or maybe the next month, or maybe the next year, or if somebody else looks at your code, they might see that number and be like, "What's that number mean?" And they won't know, and you won't. You might forget. So here's the piece of code in particular that the commenter was mentioning. This number 10. While I was doing the video, I couldn't remember what that number meant, and it's just kind of hard coded as a number, just 10. There's no way I can look at this piece of code and understand what it is. I'd have to go to the bullet class itself, which isn't hard to do, but it's one more step, and I could misinterpret it and put in a number. This number is actually the size of the bullet, so I'd like to make those changes. The thing is, though, that there's a lot of these all over our code, and we've just kind of been making progress and pushing forward and trying to get things done. So we've sort of left that to happen, and it's spreading throughout our code and just making it harder and harder to make progress because it's getting more and more disorganized. So I thought we'd take a minute today to just look at how we can improve our code and get rid of those magic numbers. So I'll show you some examples of places I've already gotten rid of magic numbers. I think some of the other weapons, for example, the shotgun, or I haven't done it for sniper rifle yet, but here's an example where I've replaced some of these numbers. Like before, these numbers were just like hard coded in, and I didn't know what they were. But I've replaced them now with variables that contain those initial or default values. So for example, over in sniper rifle, I'm not using those yet. I just say super 120. What's 100? What's 20? We don't know. So it's great to be able to create variables that have those values in them, but are named something else so that we can remember what those values mean. So where are these variables declared, and how do we use them? So I have them just in my main tab. So these are places where I'm calling them settings variables. I am choosing right now to make them final, but I can see a reason why you might not want to make them final. But for now, for this simple version of this project, I think I'll make them final, which means that they can't change their values. So during the course of the game, I couldn't update them or change them. They're locked in at these values at the beginning of the game. And you can see that like all these values for the magic numbers for the turrets are all there, and all the magic numbers for the spawning pool are all there. All the magic numbers for the the shotgun, for example, are all declared here. So instead of saying for the shotgun, I think previously I said like 100 and 1,000 would be a slow reload. 1,000 comma 5 or whatever it was. I guess I could see what it was. Yeah, 105. So instead of saying this, I have made variables that have the value 100 and the value 5, and then I have replaced those numbers with these variables that hold those values. So now at a glance, I can see what that number is meant to be and what this number is meant to be. I don't see the value right now. I can't see that, but it's easy to go to the main tab and see all the values for all of my settings all in one place. So I can see, what's my turrets details, what's my spawning pools details, what's my shotguns details. So that's great. Not only will it make our code more readable, and I'll remember what these values are supposed to be, but I can update them all in one place. I can go and update them, right here, and I see them all at once. So if I go to make some balance changes in my game, so maybe I think, turrets are too strong or something, I can compare them directly with other enemies. Same with shotguns or any weapon. I'll have all my weapons magic numbers all declared here, and I can kind of compare them and see all in one place. And I can modify them as well. Another reason why this is great is maybe you want to make some difficulty settings, an easy, difficulty, a hard difficulty. So if I make these not final, if I just make them regular variables, I can use if statements to decide what their values are. Maybe if I choose easy, then I'm going to choose a different set of values for my enemies starting things. Like maybe the threshold for shooting will be, a large number to make them shoot slower if it's easy. Or if it's hard, maybe I'll make it lower to make them shoot faster. So I can put all of these variables in one place, so I just have to use a single if statement to choose whether I'm going to make them, easier values or harder values in the context of the game. There's a whole lot of value to doing this. Of course, it will make no major sort of impact on the visual effects of the game. Doing all this work will make it easier to continue programming. It'll be easier to do a good job at your program, but won't actually create some new feature or make the game look different. But making your code look really great is also an important aspect of programming, both because you don't want to make mistakes because you forgot what your values mean, and you also want other people in your team to be able to use your code really well. So this is a great way of doing it. So I'm going to continue doing this, and I'll show you an example of how you can go make this change. So here's my sniper rifle. 100, 20, 10, 5 for auto pistol. What do these things mean? So I can go and just make these variables. I'm going to group my weapon settings together and my enemy settings together and whatever settings I decide. So I'll include final int sniper rifle. I don't know if that's supposed to be 2 words or not. Threshold, and that was 100. And final int sniper rifle bullet speed. That's supposed to be 20. It's supposed to be a fast one. Same thing I'll do for auto pistol. I'm just going to copy and paste. Actually, maybe I'll copy and paste shotgun. It doesn't matter. I copy and paste that and change this to auto pistol. Auto pistol. You'll notice I'm using all caps. That's sort of the standard way. Typing hard. It's the standard way for people to write sort of variables that are final. In other words, constants, things that can't change. So you might have seen that before in your setup when you're setting, rect mode to center or corner. The word is in all caps because it's actually a constant value. So this is a typical way of programming. So once I've defined these, notice I can see all my weapon settings all at once, and I can compare them with each other. I can notice, whoops, that one should be 10. Make those changes or whatever values you think are appropriate. And then I can go back and replace, this with sniper rifle threshold and sniper rifle bullet speed, and so on. I can do the same thing with auto pistol. And then everything is just, reads better and easier to update. You really can't go wrong with this. One thing I'd recommend before starting this is to maybe make a backup of your project just in case you make some, catastrophic mistake that you can't resolve. So, make a backup, make some changes, and then make sure they work. Maybe don't change every single magic number, but change a set of them. Make sure it works, save it, back that up, and continue to upload to GitHub as using your that as your backup engine. And then you just kind of change one class at a time. Don't try to change everything at once and then expect it all just to work, because there's a good chance you will, make some mistake at some point. And then if you've done it all at once, instead of doing it incrementally, it'll be really hard to find where you made that mistake. So for example, I'd probably make that change. I'd save it. I'd run the project. Make sure that works, maybe back it up again, and then make the next change. So just kind of incrementally making one change after another. There's a lot of changes to make, and this is already looking like a ton of variables, but you will I think, enjoy programming the project a lot more and will be less confused about your code. And you can also make all the changes all at one place. So, this will also unlock an ability for difficulty modes to be a lot easier to create. All sorts of benefits here for doing this. So go ahead and give that a try and change over your magic numbers as much as you can to be, these kind of variables. Okay? All right, thanks everybody.